start cutting, there are no bubbles in that, or else the cooling system will not work properly, and the laser cutter could blow up or start a fire or something.
So then once getting the laser cutter all started up and making sure everything's up and running, I opened up this Retina Engraved 3D program. This is the program that actually allows the 3D printer to do the printing.
What I'm doing is I'm trying to make a protractor out of some wood for the laser cutter, and here I just had pulled a picture of a protractor off of the internet, and what I did was, to get the basic shape, to cut out the basic shape, I just outlined the protractor with some tools on Word and then deleted the protractor, so now I can go and cut in it.
So then actually the process of getting the laser printer actually going, I was looking for a laser power and speed that would cut through the wood and allow the protractor, the arch shape of the protractor, to actually be cut out. So looking at this little handy dandy template that was left on the printer, I found out that I need to use a vector laser because it cuts more than just engraves. I need to use 100 power and a 30 speed in order to get my desired print. So next, before I can actually start printing, I have to make sure that my dimensions are matching up with the program and with the material that I'm using. So this piece of wood that I decided to use was a 6-inch by 12-inch piece of wood. And so on the program Retina Engraved 3D, I put it in as a 5.5-inch by 11.5-inch, and that's just to ensure some human error, just to make sure that if I'm a little off in my setting up with a laser or something, that I still get the entire design that I am looking for and just comes out with a clean print and clean cut. And as I had said earlier, I'm going to use a 30 speed and 100 power on a vector laser instead of the raster laser, just because the raster laser is more used for engraving, while the vector laser is really used to kind of cut through the material and cut actual designs out. So I set that up just with that speed, just to make sure that the vector laser had time to really work its way completely through the wood and get that desired protractor shape that I was looking for. So I had my dimensions put in, and I had my laser ready to cut, and so all that I had to do, I put the wood in, and as you can see, I started the laser up in the upper left-hand corner. That's just so the laser cutter cuts left to right, so just to make sure it's actually cutting the wood and not going on something else. And I'd already homed the laser, so from that point, once I had the laser lined up the way I liked, I was ready to rock and roll and get my protractor started. So everything was set up and ready to go. I was ready to get my protractor started printing. And then when I went to click the start job button, nothing went. So I kept on pressing it, and this little warning came up and it said the activation grace period has expired. Please activate your laser for full functionality. And I was kind of scared. I was hoping I didn't break anything on the laser cutter, because that would be really expensive to repair. But so I asked the gentleman who was working in the studio that day if he could help me, and he wound up coming over. We tried a few things, turned it off, converted my Word to a PDF to just try different things to try to get it to work. Nothing worked. He wound up looking it up, and it actually meant that the program had expired that we have in the studio, so it was a matter of getting the program up and updated again for the printer.